Shalom, first and foremost, only of all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, and peace be upon the house of David, which is the elect that Yahushai is coming back to deliver and raise up in these last days. Alright, I just wanted to do a quick video, Lord willing, to be edifying on the topic of strength and increasing your faith, because in these last days, we understand that the only way that we're going to be able to survive, the only way that we're able to endure, is if our faith is increased, okay? Because the stuff that's about to happen, like the scripture says, it's never been like a time on earth. All right, so we about to see things that we have never witnessed before. We about to go through stuff that we can't ever say that somebody happened to go through. So only way that we're gonna be able to get out of it and endure it until the end is by being strong in the spirit and having your faith increased tenfold. All right, so this is Hebrews chapter 10 verse 38. It says, now the just shall live by faith, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. Okay, so right there lets us know that the only way that we're going to be able to live, only way that we're going to be able to endure, only way that we're going to be able to gain salvation is by faith. All right, none else. Okay, and faith and works go hand in hand. All right, but the way that you're going to be justified is by the faith that you have in these times in Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, because this whole world, this world is based off of carnality. All right, it's based off of seeing is believing. But what, there's going to be a select few people that's going to actually be able to survive this atrocity, survive these calamities, and it's going to be by their faith. All right, but it's going to be in what you have faith in. Okay, because some people have faith in their guns, some people have faith in Buddha, some people have faith in Ra or Jesus Christ, but there's only one that you're supposed to have faith in that is going to actually let you endure, which is faith in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. All right, so it says, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. So now if you look up that word draw back, it says what? To withhold, under, to draw back, let down, lower, to withdraw a timid person. Okay, it says to withdraw oneself, i.e. to be timid, to cover, to shrink of those who from timidity hesitate to avow what they believe. All right, so you're gonna have people that is gonna when all hell breaks loose, you're gonna have people that's gonna shrink in this times, man. You're gonna have people that's not gonna they're gonna basically draw back from what they believe. They're not gonna want to they're gonna be hesitant to proclaim Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. And the scripture says what? My soul shall have no pleasure in him. Okay, but verse 39 says, but we are not of them that who draw back unto perdition. Why? Because if you timid, the Lord don't want no pussy, man. The Lord don't want nobody that's scared in this thing. Scripture says what? Be a good soldier. And also says what? Show yourselves as men. So you got to be strong in this thing, man. You got to be strong in the faith, and you can't be scared, man. Even when you go out there in my highways and byways, you can't even be scared to do that. All right, right now I'm on break. There's people walking around me, but what? I'm doing this. I'm trying to endure this. People probably looking at me funny, but you can't be scared, man, because what we're doing is for the for the greater good of the magnification of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. All right, so I'm gonna get this next scripture. This is Ephesians chapter 6 verse 18. And what the thing is, once you just trust in the spirit, you forget that people are around you, man. You forget what that you actually are being a gazing stock. People are actually looking at you, because you're doing this in the spirit, and that's all that matters, man. So this is Ephesians 6 and 18. It says, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. All right, so right there, man, the way to get stronger is by praying, all right, and supplicating in the spirit. And it also says watching unto with all perseverance. All right, and look up that word perseverance is persistency. All right, continuing, basically in endurance. Okay, so you gotta persevere in this thing. And it's funny because the word persevere also comes from perspire, which means that's what, sweating. Hey, to be a good soldier, you're gonna have to break a sweat. All right, you gotta perspire. All right, in the spirit, you gotta work hard. Continue to increase. Because if you don't, then ultimately, you're not gonna be you're not gonna have that strong foundation in order to be persistent all the way until the end. All right, so this is at this next scripture. This is Matthew chapter 13, start at 20. It says, but he that receiveth the seed in stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth. Yet he have not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. So what? You got people that actually, came into this truth and heard the words and believed, was happy to hear that there was Israelites and hear the name, but they didn't root themselves, all right? Which means what? They didn't have a strong foundation, all right? They wasn't strengthened in this word, all right? And their faith wasn't strong enough. So therefore, when tribulation and persecution comes, which we're about to enter into right now, the great persecution, all right? Revelations 2 and 10. In Revelations 3 and 10, it says, for when tribulation and persecution arises because of the word. So you have to be strong in this faith, because you're going to get persecuted because of this word, all right? Right now, we haven't strived into blood, but guess what? The times that we're coming into, you're gonna have to strive into blood, or you're gonna have to see one of your loved ones. Your test might be one of your loved ones that sheds blood, and that's your test, all right? Because of the word. This devil wants us to denounce this word. He wants us to stop teaching, man. He doesn't want the name of Yahweh to go out, because that means that his kingdom is going down. Okay, so it says, even though you endure for a while now, because everything seems quiet. You can go out there and teach and yell and do all sorts and do what you do, and you don't really feel like anything can happen to you, especially if you're out there with a camp. But guess what? The times are gonna come where you're gonna be by yourself, man. All right. And your faith is going to be really tested when you by yourself. How strong you are, how strong you believe this. It says, by and by he is offended. Now, when you look up that word offended, it says scandalized. All right, he's entrapped, he's tripped up. All right, Thayer's definition says to put a stumbling block or impediment in the way upon which another may trip or fall. All right, so if you basically, the seed is sown in a stony place, you basically, and your faith isn't secure and is steady, you're gonna stumble, man. You're gonna stumble at those tribulations. You're gonna stumble at that persecution, because you're not gonna be grounded. You're not gonna be strong. All right. So that's why Scripture says, and how do you get that strength? Like I said, fasting, praying, and then also this wisdom, man. This wisdom is what gets you the strength, to endure until the end. It's a scripture we always bring out, Isaiah 33 and 6. It says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his pleasure, is his treasure. All right, so wisdom, man, this is how you get stronger. This is how you increase your faith, is by constantly being in the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Lord, man. All right, because at the times that we're going to come into, the only thing that's going to keep you stable is your faith, all right? And the way that you increase your faith is by increasing your wisdom, and by fearing the Lord, all right? Is by praying that the Lord and keeps you strong, okay? So, just wanted to get that quick, message out there. Lord willing, I might, even do more on this, because this is a heavy topic, man. And especially, like I said, the times that we're coming into, we're going to need that wisdom we're going to need that faith to be increased in these times, man. All right, so with that, Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. Call Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and Shalom.